if people would just be more studious and read, go to the origin of things. People who don't know primary sources of information are plagued in many respects with not understanding why periods of history, why we were called or certain concepts came about. A lot of times we demonize things, we demonize it because the colonizer doesn't understand what they are. And then as a result of him not understanding what it is, you know, he'll just tell you whatever he wants you to hear.
You know, they interpreted it the wrong way, and they started to convert those symbols into their own belief. You understand? So they took the ram head and they turned it into the goat. You understand? And this is where we get the whole symbol of the goat of Mendes, which was originally the name of it before the Baphomet was called the goat of Mendes.
That's Mithra. This is Mithra, the sun god. Notice he's hat like a Santa Claus, and he's caped like Superman. Yeah. This is where they get all of their stuff from. But what is he doing, killing the bull? Who killed? There's the first two brothers in the Bible. What murdered? One brother murdered one brother. Cain. He killed his brother what? Cain, kill. Who did he kill? Say it again. Cain, kill a bull. Cain, kill a bull. Ah, bull. Not Abel. This is the story. Mithras, the bull, who he kills. The bull represents what? We're in the month of the bull now. What sign are we in?
Yeah,
thank you. What represents Taurus?
Yeah.
The bull. El. The bull. Remember when the Israelites, what were they doing when Moses came down with the tablets? A golden calf, all right? El, or La. El, God, in Numbers 24:8, God. La had the horns of the wild ox, the ox bull.
In essence, for me, it's all about shutting down the feminine principle, because once that opens, then the stargate is open. And in essence, that's why a lot of indigenous cultures, they worship the Great Mother. A lot of old societies were matriarchal.
You know, we've been conquered, we've been shot, we've been raped, we've been done a whole lot of things to. We're still here. Why do we still have fear? It's because fear is a part of your psychological, physiological, survival, instinctual programming. You know, the Khmer deity Opep specifically refers to fear. That's why you see Opep as the power behind Rosbo. Fear is what propels you. When you have nothing to fear, you have nothing to be motivated by.
There's nothing inherently wrong with fear in and of itself. Like, fear is merely the acknowledgement of danger. I mean, I've always said, you know, for years that a person who fears nothing is really an unintelligent person. Because if you're not afraid of anything, what it really says is that you lack the intelligence to recognize that there is something that could bring potential danger and harm to you. So the real evil is in allowing the fear to freeze you and stop you from doing what you know you're supposed to be doing.
My personal experiences with fear relate specifically to Kepara and transformation. When you face your fears, you get power. When we experience fear and we face it, our immune system kicks into high gear, super high gear. Our immune system starts to take all types of nutrients and chemicals. We create something called adrenaline. Adrenaline is what makes the Hulk the Hulk. The difference between being a regular Joe and being a Hulk is facing your fears, which causes a chemical reaction in your body that transforms you physiologically. That's why fear is important. That's why Opep as fear is seen driving the boat of Ra. Ra facing his fears is the symbolism of the serpent Opep propelling the boat of Ra. And Ra comes into being because of Kepara transformation. You transform when you face your fears.
The only frontier that we haven't conquered as of yet is ourselves. And I think, the Baphomet, the image, this scary image that people are so afraid of, and it causes like a lot of passionate emotions that are usually negative. It instills these feelings in people. It's just representative of like those aspects of ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I mean myself included. I mean, all of us, those aspects of ourselves that we may not like to face because it's not a pleasant thing. There's things about all of us that we don't like, and we conveniently ignore these things. So when I look at the image of Baphomet as it's popularly portrayed, it's just emblematic of that idea that there are aspects of ourselves that we don't want to look at. A lot of times, even, as conscious, quote unquote, conscious people, we look at being conscious as being like just overly nice and smiling all the time and saying ashe and everything. But I think we'd be very naive if we believe that the people who we revere and admire from all of these different ancient societies, if they actually conducted themselves in that manner. I mean, you look at like a place like Kemet, for example, with all of these huge stone edifices. We always focus on the genius of our ancestors, but I think we'd be naive to really believe that there was no bloodshed or no traumatic experiences involved in the cultivation and development of these situations. So I think that the Baphomet represents that other end of the spectrum that we need to incorporate into ourselves, to bring the balance, and everybody, as far as I understand, who's following the Kemetic way is, striving towards Ma'at. But Ma'at is balance, and you're not really balanced if you're happy-go-lucky and, quote-unquote positive, all the time. You need a balance of the positive and the negative, or at the very least what society generally associates with being positive and negative, and we need to incorporate both of these things within ourselves, and that's how we come into balance. So I mean, there's really nothing for us to fear, but as long as we fear those aspects of ourselves, then will we remain fragment, and 20, 30 years will pass by and we'll still be talking about the same issues, the same problems, the same dilemmas that plague our community. The only difference is that these problems will be more compounded because of the fact that we're neglecting to address the core issue, which is us not taking a look at those unsavory aspects of ourselves. So I think that once we take a look at those aspects of ourselves and try to rectify whatever issues we're dealing with, then things like a Baphomet won't be so bothersome to us, because people are bothered by the image because it's a visual reminder of what they don't want to look at within themselves.
The mark of the beast is coming.
And what the Illuminati have also done so well is confuse this whole notion of good and evil. because the priesthood realized from their observations that nothing was good or evil. Essentially, things were moving in a divine motion. Just like you have blood in your heart, the veins are carrying blood to the heart, and the arteries are carrying blood away from the heart. Traffic, if you're stuck moving in traffic, cars are going one way and cars are going another way on the motorway. You can't have everything going in the same direction. It just doesn't work. The priesthood realized that, in essence, good and evil are only servants for the Creator. And what the many secret societies have done to confuse humanity is to make it seem like there's a great battle going on the planet between good and evil. And you have Lucifer, which really just means the morning star. So who was there to observe the morning star?
For the Lord God is a sun and a shield. The Lord will give grace, and glory to no good thing will be held from them that walk uprightly. Now, I've seen people break this down online, and they're saying it's called a CME, coronal mass ejection. So every time the sun flares out, it flares towards the earth. That's the shield that protects it. And then it goes around the shield like a butterfly. That's why it does look like a beast, right? So it goes round, and then it comes in, and this is how it warms the earth. But the shield, if this shield wasn't here, there'd be no life on earth. Because the sun would just strip everything.
The Bible story of the Hebrew Jews begins with Abram, who was born north of Canaan in the town of Ur around 2055 BC. Abram married his beautiful sister Sarai and migrated to Egypt. There is not one shred of archaeological evidence for the existence of Moses or of any of the Bible's main cast of Hebrew characters, from Abraham to Jacob to Joseph to King David to King Solomon. There is, however, plenty of evidence for the existence of Egyptian pharaohs.
I question the intelligence of anyone who thinks everything in the Bible is true or supposed to be true. It's allegory, stories told to illustrate a point at a time when there were very few people reading books. And most of what went into the making of the Bible was copied from Egyptian texts. Now, if you want to get so dewy-eyed over the Bible, which is a carbon copy of a carbon copy, why don't you go back and read the original Egyptian text? Then you see where all these stories started from. You see where the story of the Exodus started from. Now, you get so dewy-eyed, you actually think there was an Exodus. These people walked into Africa. Why couldn't they walk out? Why did they have to go by sea? Let's get into this Western Asia. I'm saying that the people who came from Western Asia escaping famine did not have any Hebrew faith when they came into Africa. And there's no record of a Hebrew faith before there. Why is it that when they left Africa in the so-called Exodus, they had all three? African culture, and African religion,
Three
and
of
African language.
the most important Neteru in Kemet were Asar, Aset, and Heru.
Or to give them the more usual names, Osiris, Isis, and Horus. These three deities originally came from Cush.
These are very, very important triumvirate.
Their stories are as much mythology as they are history.
Now, according to Diodorus Siculus, who was one of the ancient Greek historians, Osiris was originally a community leader of very early Cush. He doesn't call him a king of Cush, but he makes it quite clear he was a leader.
Asar is regarded as the founding father of Kemet. He unified the two lands. He established the first nation-state in the recorded history of humanity. He is said to have introduced writing, the writing which the ancient Kemites referred to as Medu Neter, or the writing of God when it was written, or the words of God when it was spoken. He is also said to have introduced agriculture, and theology.
Also decided to take civilization to certain parts of the Nile Valley as well as to other parts of the world.
Asar married a beautiful Nubian woman by the name of Aset, who was his co-regent, not his inferior, his co-regent. And when Asar decided that he was going to travel to other parts of Africa to share his technology with his brothers and sisters on the continent, he left his wife Aset to run their nation.
And he was very successful, very admired, and this provoked the jealousy of his brother, Set.
And Set then plotted to overthrow his brother Asar.
Set, or Sete in ancient Egyptian, murdered his brother, dismembered his body into 14 pieces, and then scattered those 14 pieces throughout Kemet.
When Aset learned of the murder and dismemberment of her husband, she fled for her life, and then she went searching for the missing parts of her husband's body. Aset found 13 of the 14 parts of Asar's body, and as she found each body part, she cleaned it, she anointed it with oils, and she laid all 13 parts out, and she literally remembered her husband, wrapped his entire body in bandages, and created the first mummy in the recorded history of humanity. As Aset was preparing to bury her husband, she grieved because she was about to bury the man that she loved. She grieved because she was still a virgin. They had never consummated their marriage, and thus she would never bear children by the man that she loved. And according to the story written on many papyri in Kemet, carved on several temples in Kemet, the spirit of Asar came and impregnated his virgin wife Aset. And then 9 months later, the virgin Aset gave birth to their son Heru.
Now, in the case of Isis or Set, she is the original Virgin Mother, and she is seen suckling Horus. He is shown as a child suckling his mother, and he's wearing the pharaonic headdress, making it clear that he was born a king.
Haru is the son of Osiris, and he's the embodiment of order. He has to take over the kingship, and he has to do that through a struggle.
So Heru was born, the son of a virgin. He was born with a specific purpose in life. That was to restore his father's kingdom, to do battle with his uncle Set and reclaim his father's throne.
Heru would then take up his father's struggle, in a way, against his uncle Set.
One of those classic battles, not so much between good and evil, it's more a battle between order and anarchy.
And Heru eventually triumphs over Set.
At that moment, Heru was transformed, miraculously transformed into a falcon. He flew into heaven to meet with his father Asar, told Asar of his victory over Set. His father blessed him, and Heru then returned to Kemet as the legitimate heir to the throne. And when he ascended to the throne, the symbol of the Heru Badet, the winged sun disk, was a symbol that was carved above the entrance of every temple in Kemet to serve as a reminder of Heru fulfilling the reasons for which he was born. And at the moment Heru reclaimed his father's throne and was crowned the king of Kemet, his father Asar was resurrected from the dead and took his place on the throne of judgment.
This is off the walls of Kemet. Semitics coming into Egypt, and you can see what they doing. They messing with them damn goats. That's what they were. They were goat herders. So that's what they do. And that's the original right there. Khnum Hotel. Showing them coming in. Messing with them damn goats and antelopes.
Mass control, here's the philosophy. Cortez knew about the Aztec prophecy. Before he invaded their society, he studied their cultural psychology. He knew they had armor, guns, and speed, so he arrived in the Aztec year Juan Reed. That's the year Quetzalcoatl was prophesied to return from exile. In fact, Cortez played out the Aztec myth and took away those people's will to resist. Cortez played on religious beliefs and blinded the Aztecs because he was a thief. Look, the Yucatan, that's a Mayan book of cycles. It lets the Mayans know when the gods are gonna strike you. In fact, every 13 cartoons you see, the Mayans are visited with a catastrophe. So every 256 or 7 years, the Mayan people live with this fear. So on the island of Tayasor, now Flores, the Spanish came on with this knowledge. They knew, according to the Mayan heavens, that the next cycle was 1697. So as the Mayans stood there fixed on the heavens, the Spanish showed up with all of their weapons. March 13th, 1697, the Mayan people learned a terrible lesson. Your fears and tears are used against you, because 80% of world control is mental. But back to the Mayans, they're getting some more. 257 years after Tayasor, a U.S.-backed coup overthrows their democracy in 1954. That's exactly 257 years from when the Spaniards arrived at their shores. I'm getting to the core of the lesson. Let's see what happens in 2211. That's the next cycle. The people remember, like 2012, the 21st of December. Your consciousness may shift, you may turn the light, but you are the universe, you're gonna be alright. The pole may shift, your soul may lift, the higher consciousness, but you know all this. The edutainment style will persist. Forget the fear.